Have you ever woken up after a rough night's sleep and just felt like your breathing was off? Well, today we're going to get into why that happens. We're about to uncover this really powerful but often overlooked connection between how we sleep and how we breathe. Does this sound familiar? I bet it does for a lot of you. It's something millions of people feel, and let me tell you, it is not just in your head. It's a real biological thing happening, and it points to a much, much deeper story that unfolds inside our bodies every single night. So, what is this hidden link? What's really going on here? That's the big question we're going to tackle together. We're going to peel back the layers on this nightly mystery that affects so many people, especially if you're dealing with something like asthma, COPD, or even a nagging chronic cough. All right, let's dive right in. Our first stop is what I'm calling the nighttime breathing mystery. We're going to explore why nights can be so tough, and it all kicks off with one central, absolutely crucial concept. It's known as the vicious cycle, and you gotta understand it's a two-way street. It goes like this. A bad night's sleep directly makes your breathing worse. Then, of course, symptoms like coughing or wheezing wake you up and wreck your sleep. See? It just creates this nasty downward spiral where your sleep gets worse, your breathing gets worse, and on it goes. So, what in the world is driving this cycle? I mean, where does it come from? To get that, we have to look at the science. We need to peek behind the curtain at your body's secret internal clock, the biological programming that's really running the show. Okay, so there are basically three main culprits we need to investigate. First, you've got your internal body clock, which you probably know as your circadian rhythm. Second, there's an inflammatory pathway that gets all fired up when you don't sleep well. And third, a major shift happens in your nervous system every single night. Let's start with that circadian rhythm. Scientists have found something absolutely fascinating. Your lung function naturally takes a nosedive and hits its lowest point right around 4 in the morning. And get this happens because of your internal clock. It doesn't matter if you're sound asleep or wide awake staring at the ceiling. Now, this isn't just some tiny little dip. The real-world impact is huge. One major study found that people are 4 times more likely to reach for their rescue inhaler during what their body considers night compared to the day. That's a direct result of this powerful internal clock. All right, next up, inflammation. It turns out that just one single night of bad sleep can crank up the production of these pro-inflammatory molecules in your body. They directly go on to make airway inflammation worse. And as if that's not bad enough, this inflammatory surge can actually make common treatments, like corticosteroids, not work as well. And finally, there's that nightly shift in your nervous system. Scientists literally call it a perfect storm. At night, your body sends out more signals that squeeze your airways tight, while at the same time, it dials back on the natural chemicals that help keep them open. Your body is basically setting the stage for breathing trouble while you sleep. Okay, so we've covered the science, but what does all this actually mean in the real world? Let's talk about the impact of this vicious cycle on people living with asthma and COPD every day. The numbers here are just staggering. For folks with asthma, up to 3/4, 75%, say their symptoms get worse at night. So this isn't some rare thing. For most people with asthma, it's a fundamental part of their condition. And here's the other side of that vicious cycle we talked about. A shocking 82% of people whose asthma is considered uncontrolled are also dealing with poor, terrible sleep. You just can't deny that link. And you can see it so clearly right here. Look at this trend. As asthma control gets worse and worse, the percentage of people getting poor sleep just skyrockets. It goes from 37% in people who have it under control all the way up to 82% for those who don't. It's a direct, straight line. And you know, the story is pretty similar for COPD. About half of all patients with COPD are considered poor sleepers. And this isn't just about feeling a little groggy. For them, poor sleep is directly tied to more flare-ups and just worse health outcomes overall. But wait, there's more. It's not just your internal biology that's to blame here. There are other hidden triggers. Think of them like accomplices in this nighttime mystery that can sneak in and make everything even worse. And these are factors that, a lot of the time, we can actually control, but we just don't think about. You know, eating a huge meal right before bed could trigger reflux. Your bedroom might be full of allergens like dust mites. Even the position you sleep in can affect your breathing. And of course, stress and anxiety are huge disruptors for both sleep and breathing. Now let's talk about the biggest hidden factor of them all, obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. This is a condition where your airway actually closes over and over again while you sleep. And it is incredibly common in people with severe asthma.
Research shows that up to half of them have undiagnosed sleep apnea, and that just wrecks their breathing control.
And when someone has both COPD and sleep apnea, it's called overlap syndrome. This combo is really dangerous. It leads to much more severe drops in oxygen during the night and seriously increases the risk for major heart problems. So, after hearing all this, you're probably wondering, okay, what do I do? What's the path forward? Well, it really comes down to cracking your own personal code. It's about making a shift from general knowledge to a really personal understanding of your own body. And here's the absolute key takeaway. This is what it all boils down to. While these biological rules apply to everyone, how they actually play out in your body is completely unique to you. The science is crystal clear that how we each respond to things like sleep duration, or when we eat, or different allergens, it varies a lot.
This is exactly why we have to move beyond just generic advice. The one-size-fits-all stuff. Instead of just following recommendations for the general population, the real goal is to start figuring out your personal patterns, those unique cause and effect relationships that are happening inside your own body.
And that leaves us with one final, and I think really powerful question to think about. What is your body trying to tell you each night? By starting to pay attention, you can go from being a victim of this vicious cycle to becoming a detective of your own health, uncovering the clues that are going to lead you to better breathing and, finally, better sleep.